Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero. Our guest today is the great John Robinson. He's one of my all-time favorite drummers and someone I've looked up to professionally and having had the pleasure of getting to know him over the last few years personally too. The old adage that you shouldn't meet your heroes because they'll only let you down couldn't be further from the truth regarding JR. He's a solid, hard-working Midwesterner who made his way first to the East Coast to attend Berklee College of Music and then to the West Coast where he set about becoming the most recorded drummer in the world today. He's laid the backbeat on some of the most beloved records of the last half century, and the cumulative total of units sold is somewhere between 1 billion and infinity. And you still couldn't meet a more sincere and hospitable guy. You should check out his upcoming content on Trubify, where you'll be able to access unique performances and even post your own interpretations of some of his iconic performances. It's pretty cool. Speaking of iconic performances, my new show, Focus on the Funk, is coming soon, or maybe by the time you're listening to this episode, it's already here. It's also a Lions Rock production, so you can get it on all the streaming platforms. And we're working out the video component, so it'll be exciting and refreshing, and you know it'll be funky. It's Focus on the Funk. It's all about music, and it's coming for your big bouncy booty. And we always want to send a shout out to Save the Brave, savethebrave.org. We support their mission to help veterans cope with PTSD, and we would love it if you helped too. Save the Brave is going strong even during the pandemic, so please consider lending some of your support to Save the Brave by setting up a recurring draft of a few bucks in PayPal. It's easy, and that's what I do every single month, and Pete does too. Hey, without further ado, here is one of the absolute greatest ever. Our friend, man, I'm lucky to say that, John J.R. Robinson.
Lions Rock Productions.
This is Jay Moore.
This is Greg Cruz.
This is Bryce Vine.
This is Dexter from The Offspring.
This is Nathan
This
East.
is Sebastian Younger.
This is Daryl Ames.
This is Stuart Copeland.
This is Mick Gillette.
This is Andy Summers.
This is Dr. Bob Greenberg.
This is Gabby Reese.
This is Rob Bell.
Hey, this is John Leon Guerrero.
Hey, and this is Pete A. Turner.
Hey, this is John Robinson, and we are live. You are watching The Break It Down Show.
And now, The Break It Down Show with John Leon Guerrero and Pete A. Turner.
Yes,
Get
indeed.
ready to groove.
Get ready to groove. You know, John Robinson is the most recorded drummer in the universe. Highlights for me include Rufus, Quincy Jones, Michael Jackson, David Foster, Madonna, the Pointer Sisters, Lionel Richie, Daft Punk, Lady Gaga. We could do this all day long. I could just run through your list of credits all day.
It's like a beach ball, man.
Yeah. You know, the point is that if you're the biggest act in the world and your creative time is of the essence, John Robinson is on the shortest of the short lists to get the job done at the highest level. Lesser known is that John is a songwriter, and he's been playing piano most of his life, and he's working on a solo record, his third. Couple of shout-outs I want to do before we get started here, John. First, to your son, Jack Robinson, and the Thousand Oaks High School Jazz Band.
Yeah, baby.
Those bad boys are swinging, man.
I mean, my high school band swung hard, but not as hard as his does. So
yeah,
or did.
Okay. Well,
Thanks.
and also wanted to let everybody know, and I'll say this a couple of times throughout the show, so if you're joining us late, you'll hear it. Subscribe to the YouTube channel, the new J.R. Robinson YouTube channel, which is John J.R. Robinson. You'll be early to the show because currently there's only 3 videos on there.
Yeah, I'm learning. I'm trying to catch up with the young peeps. So, you know, but we've got a lot of good ideas and activity that's going to be uploaded in there, and probably inclusive of subscription based too.
One of the videos on there I thought was really cool was your performance on October 8th with Gene Simmons.
Well,
that was something else.
That was a couple of October 8ths ago, but yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you know, my webmaster is Malcolm Moore. He also is Steve Gadd's webmaster, and you know he's very busy in his own right. And I kind of said to him, "Yeah, you know, I got to catch up with some of these other guys." I mean, I just downloaded TikTok, and then I realized really what TikTok is, you know, which is kind of cool. So, you know, I'm going to actually, you know, do something else with that, but you know, to try to keep up with what the younger people are doing is, you know, something within itself, and it takes time and energy and knowledge. So, you know, everybody bear with me while this thing gets built.
That's cool, man. It's cool that you're able to recognize the relevance and move towards it. Because it's no big thing for you to have a camera on you and to perform live. I mean, that's how you live. So it's just a new way of chopping it up. I like it. Now, you do know you need to get a skateboard and some motion spray if you're going to be doing TikTok well.
Oh my God. I was like, and I never knew floss was that exposed, Thank God
Hey, I think that guy's pretty cool.
Yeah, man.
The thing is, he put Fleetwood Mac back on the charts.
Oh, is that the owner?
The guy that Pete's talking about with the skateboard and the ocean spray.
Yeah. Well, everybody everybody wants to be entertained for just a short second. I mean, I think, you get past 3 minutes and 25 seconds, people are done with you.
Okay, maybe. I think TikTok's a good platform for you, though, because you can play a simple groove, lay it down, and then just let us live on those, those 4 bars or however long it'll give you.
Yeah, I will do some later today, as this schedule opens up here. And, I've got man, I didn't sleep at all last night. I was thinking about editing my shitty guitars off 2 of my tunes and then calling another guy. So I'm like, oh, I can't sleep. This is what I have to do today. I have to edit this crap out and then prepare stems. And so, my mind's always racing.
Who are you thinking about calling? I must ask.
Well, you know what? I mean, I know everybody.
Right.
Yeah.
And in this, at the same time, Stanley Clark and I are forming something very slowly. So we're looking at a very famous guitar player that is unreachable, quite frankly. But I'm actually going to go backwards and looking at a guy named Andrew Sinowick.
Okay.
Who is an LA studio monster. Kind of, the me or Luke of when we were in our 30s. Just a really cool guy to be able to lay the parts down right, take it to another level. It's not necessarily, and I am negotiating with a Swiss company tomorrow about actually getting some funding and support for the record. My first 2 records I've done all on my own. And it's, it gets to be a pain in the ass when you start wearing all these hats.
Yep.
And I'm not that kind of guy that's going to go, well, I need to have a single, to do that. What I've been doing is just making art. And if it comes out, it comes out. So this particular record may have some other Zappa-ish weird things on it.
Oh, man.
I like it. It's one thing to wear a lot of hats. Like, I have to wear a lot of hats. I have to wear the marketing hat, the PR hat, all that stuff, right? But a lot of people that wear the fuck out of some hats, I mean, like, you got neighbors that play. I mean, you don't have to even play drums on your own stuff. You could literally shop that out to someone. You're like,
Hey, you know what, man? Don't get me going. I've had the fantasy of calling 10 other drummers to do shit.
Yeah.
Like one would be my former instructor, Ed Soph. One would be Dave Weckland, just produced the living shit out of him.
Yeah.
Or Steve Smith, or, he was my arch rival at Berkeley, or Vinny, or Billy, or, just, and produce them. I've had that fantasy. So, yeah, maybe one day we'll see how that goes.
There was a really cool video that Brian Dunn from Hall & Oates shared with us. It was one of those, the COVID videos where everybody gets together, and there were a bunch of drummers on that song. Larnell Lewis, Dave Garibaldi. I mean, there were a bunch of guys, and it was great. I mean, it was just, for nerd drummers, there's not much better. So my initial reaction is, come on, man, who are you going to call? Why would you call somebody? But then, hey, if you put together something like that, it has no choice but to be awesome.
Well, and that leads me to a point where, we're going to be buried for another year, it looks like. Yeah. And if I see another damn drummer playing a solo video, I'm going to throw up. And I mean that, I don't know how I mean that. It's like, oh shit, there's another one. Oh my God. Okay. I mean, I don't, is it a calling card? Is it just because he got his cameras and he can do it, or he's I don't know. And I don't mean to be mean, because that's a lot of people are now getting discovered that way. So
well, let's swing this around though. I mean, the fact that we have to talk about that is because someone took the time to grab a camera, sit in front of it, and create that thing. You know, I mean,
that's true.
We're talking about them instead of, you know, what the thing that you've created or I created or John Leon Guerrero. He plays the drums. Where's his solo video? He's got to put that shit up. Get it up there.
Yeah,
and do it,
yeah, you're right. I do. I should.
But
I'll tell you what, though.
I mean, it's good. It's artistic expression.
Yeah. I watch. I mean, I see your sound check videos and stuff, and those are cool to watch. But they're typically pretty short too. So it's not for a full song that we're watching that stuff. It's just to get a little taste, and it sounds good, and it always leaves us wanting more.
I mean, look, I looked through all these hard drives, and I've got just tons of stuff. But if it doesn't excite me, I'm not going to put it out there.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've got a whole set of videos, which I'm not sure what I'm going to do with for Hans Zimmer when we did Pirates of the Caribbean 2. And Hans called me and he goes, I've just got to get away from taiko drums. I'm tired of taiko drums. Every movie composer uses taiko drums. I go, okay, how about we use a couple of drummers? He goes, exactly. So this was a long time ago. So he goes, well, who would you want to play with? And I go, well, I want Vinny on my left and I want Abe Jr. on my right. And that's it. So he goes, okay. So, but I had to be in the middle because of my time concepts, and no ego. It's just time. It's just the way it is. And so we get in there, and we were at I think we were at the Streisand stage at Sony, big room, and they did not write our charts out. They were stupidly printed out on a pre-Sibelius form, which was really, really hard to read. But of course, I mean, Vinny and I are really, really exceptional readers, and Abe was pretty good. And it was a lot of odd times. But I have videos of that session, and it is amazing. And so I'm not quite sure what I'm going to do with it yet. So I'm hanging on to that. And that may be a selective buy-in thing. I don't know. Plus, if there is revenue to be made, I need to split it with those two guys. So yeah. But it's like, really special things like that Gene Simmons thing was a joke. We were doing this thing for Chaim Saban. He's doing a benefit for the state of Israel. And so we always do that with David Foster, and there's always somebody in the audience, and all of a sudden we see Chaim pointing over to Gene Simmons, and Gene's a big donor, and all of a sudden we get him to do the Kiss tune, and John Oreshnik starts recording it, and it was killing me because I'm looking through my files and I couldn't find it, and I go, I know we did it, and it was Nathan was playing and Thompson, and it was just fun,
Yeah, well, there's something to be said for the fact that the Gene Simmons Kiss thing has aged such that you could do that at a fundraising gala black tie event, and it would still fit in.
Right. This is a very open world today, so that's good. That is absolutely good.
I also saw recently, because you brought up Stanley Clark, the Saturday Night Live episode that you guys did, you and Stanley Clark and George Duke, and holy cow, man, that was funky. We
were young wild dogs, as we say.
Yeah.
Hence the song title. And all right, so I have trivia for your fans.
All right.
Let's hear it.
I don't know what we can give them if they answer the question correctly, and I don't know how to determine if they can answer it.
Yeah, well, free subscription to the John J.R. Robinson YouTube channel. How's that?
There we go. Okay. We were the guest stars. This was season 6, episode 5, 7, or 8, something like that. It was hosted by Karen Black.
Wow.
The question is, was there another musical guest? And if so, who was it?
Ooh.
And put a caveat. This possibly was the only SNL episode with more than one musical artist.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Which makes it really special.
Holy cow.
So there you go. There's, I guess we'll have to chime in and we'll figure out what we're going to give them.
Yeah.
And, free subscription would be great.
Yeah, for real. Subscribe to John's channels. I mean, on TikTok and on YouTube, and I've got the links going up in there. That's one of the ways to support, and then we can bug JR to like put things out, like put that damn video up. You got hundreds of hours.
I will.
Yeah.
And I'll be honest. I you get older, and I still I've got Jack. He's 19 and a half, and then he still won't get a fucking job, and I'm going. Dude, man, this is the time. It's COVID, man. You need to go in there and get one before one of those 50-year-olds gets one,
Yeah.
And blah, blah. His college doesn't start till January. So, and that'll be virtual, which is a drag. But, I have all these different things I'm doing. I'm sans here by myself. So it's like, okay, I'm going to stroll into the studio and what am I going to do today? Oh, a Paul Anka tune has just come in again. And so, like, just weird stuff. This year, we had to turn down with David Foster about 60 plus live dates. And that, of course, gets our EDD rolling. But, David has since now gotten Catherine McPhee pregnant.
Yeah.
So that means,
nice work if you can get it.
Well, I'm not quite sure how that happened. I know how old that guy is, and God bless him.
Yeah.
And I love her. The thing is that, next year when COVID opens up, are we getting another bus? B, are they just flying privately as they always do? C, are they just killing dates?
Yeah.
So we don't know what's going on yet. I mean, we were working everywhere.
Yeah.
And everybody loved it. It was really attractive, great singers and small, really good band. And I didn't have to play Buddy Rich jazz solos every night. It was nice.
That was the last time I saw you was at that ALS event that you guys did with the band. And the band is, obviously it's David Foster, so the band is outrageous. But when I think about, what you all do as a group for all of these galas and charity, like that's millions of dollars every year going to help causes. I mean, that machine is not working right now like it could. You guys come in and, I understand why you guys get paid the money you do because we were thoroughly entertained the entire time. It impacts us in so many ways. ALS, it's not going to get solved without money, and you guys are great at that.
Right, we do that. We also do Parkinson's for Muhammad Ali. And, we set up Andre Agassi's school system in Las Vegas, but that's now self-sustaining. We do Music Cares. We do, we probably do at least 10 charities. We do David Foster's Foundation out of Victoria, but it goes to different cities every year in Canada, which is for children's organ transplant. So that's a very, very serious situation. But that's just one avenue of what I've been doing. So I get a guy like, I've known Paul Anka since 81, I think. And, that would be wife one for me. who was Lebanese, ironically, like Paul.
Like Paul, yeah.
Paul would always be going, I go, man, I just had some fatayas with some tabbouleh. He goes, I can see. He'd always fuck with me. And in a good way. But what happened a couple of years ago, his drummer is Graham Lear. And we all know who Graham Lear is. Graham Lear was in Santana, second drummer in Santana, just an amazing, amazing musician. He lives up around the Horseshoe there, Buffalo area, maybe Niagara Falls on the Canadian side, I think. I'm not sure. But about a year and a half ago, I have a day off from Foster, and I'm sitting here, and I'm in Thousand Oaks, California, and it's raining like a mofo. And I get a phone call from Paul saying, I need you. I go, okay, cool. What do you want? Now. I go, oh, shit, where are you? He goes, I'm in Palm Springs, and Graham is whited out and can't fly.
Oh.
And I go, shit. And I'm thinking, okay, I'm going to drive 4 counties over and read the book.
In the sideways rain.
In the rain. It took me 3.5 hours driving at 85 miles an hour in the rain. And I got there, and we did a 2-hour run-through. Now, any kind of a gig would have been great, but they don't use click tracks. They have this old guy, John Cross, not that old, but he's a conductor sax player, and he's not even spotlit. It's hard to see him, and when he's given a downbeat, I swear I couldn't see it. So I'm winging this show hard, and all the Sinatra stuff and all the swing stuff I was nailing, and probably better than the previous drummer. But then there was this other stuff that I don't know what the hell was going on. And I'm hearing myself in between my own drums because I had recorded all the segues. So I go, okay, and blah, blah, blah. So anyway, I did the gig. It was great. And Paul, he looked at me and goes, man, just thank you so much. And his buddy, who looked very Las Vegas-ish, let's just put it that way, comes out of his dressing room with him. And he goes, boy, JR, you got fucking balls. You got fucking balls. And I'm going, well, thank you. And that was his compliment saying that I nailed the show. Well, since then, I've recorded 14 new Paul Anka songs here in my studio.
Huh.
Wow.
Brand new. And some of them hip tunes. These are very viable, self-conscious, very feeling songs. So now I've got another one coming in. I just saw it pop in here on a ding. So that was part of the COVID transition. I may have to go to my notes here. I just finished. You guys remember Richard Page?
Yeah.
Richard Page.
From Broken Wings.
Okay, yeah.
From Mr. Mister.
Mm-hmm.
We just got a call. I got a call, okay, on November 12th. It's going to be called Rise Up from Poverty. It's going to be a television special worldwide featuring all sorts of different artists. Michael McDonald. I don't have the complete list here in front of me. It's on some brochure. But Richard Page is one of them. And I got asked to play drums on Broken Wings. Well, who does not love that song? That song is like, oh my God. But for me to play it like the original drummer, where he plays the backbeat on the bell and the one of you I go, I don't want to do that.
Oh boy.
So I changed a lot of different variables. First of all, it was laid down by a jazz pianist named David Benoit, who I've done many records with.
Many records.
And just the last one also. And I'm thinking, wow, they called this guy, and he's a little bit more free here and there, so it allowed me to become a little more free. So I kind of let the open thing go with a shaker, let Richard establish his thing, and then when it came into the second verse, I did my little JR cross stick with Ghost Note vibe, with the one and da, and and when David Pack, producer, had heard it back, he goes, I don't like this swing, this ticky-tock thing. He didn't know how to describe it. And he goes, but let's wait and see what Richard thinks. So Richard, a day later, chimes in and he goes, it's fucking great. And then when I get to the chorus, I stay down on the hi-hat, but it still goes 1 EM, bop, bop. And then when it goes to builds, I go quarter notes on the ride cymbal, or I did the opposite of what the other drummer did. And then what I did was overdubbed some perk that would do opposite stuff. So look for that. That's November 12th. It's going to be on at 5 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. It's called Rise Up from Poverty. It's going to be like a complete bunch of artists doing stuff. And Richard is just special. there's just something about Richard Page, you know. So
he's written a lot of songs for a lot of other people you've worked with. He's written Barbra Streisand songs, and
that's right.
And now I'm going to have that thing in my head all day. I'm going to be hearing that pattern that you just against that doom doom doom.
Exactly.
Doom doom doom.
Yeah. Well, all I did was add a little bit funkier drummer to the groove.
Spice it up a little.
Yeah, just a little bit. I mean, now we can salsa to this thing if we want to.
So where can people watch this thing on the 12th? I want to put a link in the show here.
Well, it's called Rise Up from Poverty. So and the brochure, if I go off camera for a second, hold on a second.
We can cover for you.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah.
Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay. Well, since we're talking amongst ourselves, we'll talk about John Robinson. Here's the thing, is that he voices these parts, and the thing that his creativity brings is a unique voice that has been in so many styles of popular music.
Yeah.
I mean, all those artists that we named, he melts right into all of those records. And it's hard to walk through life and just not have some piece of John Robinson music in your head throughout the course of any given day. I mean, Pete, you and I have, just traveled from one place to the next and heard 4 or 5 different things. And, it's always just like, oh, there's JR again.
Yeah.
Oh, there he is again. Hope Steve Winwood, here's JR again. And,
well,
so.
I cannot find it right now. But
okay, we'll put it in the show notes afterwards. We'll find it.
Yeah, there's a bevy of SHIT over here, and it's for me to go through it is that's bachelor stuff. But hey, John, I appreciate that compliment. I was kind of thrust in the right place at the right time with all these great writers, and when records were real records, and we didn't really go into the studio and experiment. We rehearsed. Actually, we were smart enough to learn the song in the studio and then embellish it at that point. And, those days are long gone.
And to have that kind of time.
It's sad. It's very sad. So, I get a chance to work with, there's another one I just did. I just did a whole bunch of stuff. I got a call from this one guy who's connected with Mick Gazowski. And you guys know who Mick is, a famous engineer here in L.A. Used to be in New York. Mick was Daft Punk. The sound of Daft Punk was Mick Gazowski. Mick Gazowski was connected with CBS and Mariah Carey, and but he was also years and years ago we did That's What Friends Are For. Mick Gazowski. He was like, he uses a Sony C500 bass drum mic. It's not even a bass drum mic, and shoves it up all the way inside my bass drum on the opposite side to get a bass drum sound. He's the only engineer I know that could ever do that.
Wow.
So I get a call from him. He's doing a band. It's a Japanese boy band. Now, I don't think people would think of me being that guy. Hey, let's call JR. He likes doing Japanese boy bands. Not really. So,
that came out wrong.
it did. And if I go Japanese girl bands, they'll go, oh, he's so nasty.
Yeah.
But that'll be the theme of my next TikTok video.
Please, that'd be great.
So
hold on. Here's me hitting the subscribe button.
Yeah, subscribe.
Hey, that's pretty funny, actually. So this band's called End of the World. Nice name. And I get 4 songs sent.
You're based in Nagasaki. Anyway, sorry.
Oh, jeez.
Too soon.
Yeah. Was that right? That wasn't right. Anyway, so I get these songs, because I produce a lot now. And I'm listening, it's all programmed. And I'm going, shoot, if I throw my fat-ass big drums on there, it's going to sound distended. It's not going to sound right. How am I going to blend this stuff in? So being a keyboard player, I start going through stuff, kind of thinning their stuff out and making things grow, adding certain keyboard parts. Sure enough, I get calls. They go, this is unbelievable, this stuff. So look for that somewhere worldwide or some really funky club you guys are in. And then the last thing I just did, well, I've done, it's funny, is COVID's got me busier than ever.
Wow, that's great to hear.
I'm knocking on wood somewhere. But I did a thing called Think Peace. It was for World Peace Day. And it was about 200 young people, I would say probably ages 17 to maybe 23, were given a chance to write a song about today. And, it's mostly people of color and people that have seen some bad times. And there were some experienced songwriters in there, and there was some songwriters that didn't know jack shit. And so they asked me to do 20 songs, to listen to 20 songs and judge them. I go, well, shoot, this is going to be easy. I used to judge the modern drummer, the Guitar Center drum off for years.
Huh.
And if I see that same guy going, how many headley, you're out, And so, I'm thinking and I'm listening. And I dialed down to this one girl, and her name is Celeste Butler. And she's from Los Angeles. And she wrote a song called Bullets. And this is under it's called Future Use record label. It's a new record label out of the Bay Area. So they called me back and they go, well, you selected this as the best song. We kind of agree with you. Do you want to produce it? And I go, So there was enticement. And I got all the files. And it's funny, the engineer was from Green Day. And he sent me all this stuff. And I go, dude, you got to cut through this fat and get rid of some of this crap. So I finally got new files back, got it up and running. And the song is called Bullets. It's on iTunes now. And Celeste Butler, really attractive young girl. And we'll be working more with her. So that was, it was like a Black Lives Matter, people of... these young people are writing about today's issues without stepping on people's toes or fingers,
This episode of the Break It Down Show is brought to you by Lions Rock Productions.
That's us.
We publish, evaluate, and develop podcasts just like this one, consult others to build their own, and create associated content and content marketing strategies.
So if you're launching or expanding your social media presence, your business or your personal brand, or if you just want to take your media presence to the next level,
reach out to us on Twitter
at Pete A. Turner
or at JohnLG69
at the Break It Down Show.
There's 1,000 ways to get a hold of us.
Now enjoy the show.
Without stepping on people's toes or fingers,
Yeah.
So,
this is great, man. I saw a video yesterday, and it was Dolly Parton listening to artists who had covered her songs and put videos on YouTube and then reacting to them. And then they played her reactions for the artist.
That's wonderful.
And I think this is perfect to hear that you're judging this competition and then that you're going to get involved in production, because I know there are plenty of people out there who would love to hear from you about their record, about their playing, about their arrangements, and then for you to get involved and go, all right, here's a great tune. Let's dig in.
Well,
what a great opportunity.
I'm not sure how to set that up on the YouTube channel yet, but people can definitely get a hold of me ASAP through johnjrrobinson.com, and there's a link there that'll go into my email. If there's somebody, I get calls for people that want drumming, but there's a lot more than that. If they want me to produce something, and they feel strongly about letting me take over, and that's kind of what it's all about,
Yeah.
I want to go back a few minutes in the conversation and ask you about something, because you were talking about like modern music and everything and the struggles. And I'm a big fan of what Rick Beato does. I don't know if you know Rick's work, but he's got a really great YouTube channel, and he constantly, and I think we all agree, complains about like the sterilization of time in modern music because it's done, on a computer or whatever. And you just described deconstructing a known song.
He's an anti-quantizer.
Yeah. And so just talk a little bit about like what you do as a drummer to play with time, to not be, just robotic. I mean, why does that work so well? And how do you translate like what needs to happen, even with the song that's established?
Well, I mean, let's use the boy band for just a quick example. When I got one of the songs and I'd listen to it, and it's all, somebody with fingers has programmed it, with a non-drummer concept. And I'm thinking, okay, first of all, are drums going to make this song? Are drums going to be part of the song? Is there some part of what I do just strategically that could make this song? Sure enough, once an idea starts, let's say there's a thing where they've got maybe a syncopated bridge written with some sort of a broken up 808 hat. And what I'll do is I say, you know what? Let me lay down a little gauntlet here and just take my new Peisty prototype Sound Edge, 15 extra heavies, and just play real light. There's my plug.
Yeah.
But
and totally opposite, by the way, of an 808 hat.
Yeah, 808, but still high pitched. And I'm not bashing, I'm playing really delicately with finesse using the beat and maybe playing first time starting a pass with just quarter note and seeing how that lays in, and I'll pan it, maybe the way theirs is. And then maybe I'll try a more syncopated figure that then tends to obliterate their part. And yet then you determine that my part now has grasped and helped their part. So that would lead into possibly maybe playing on some drums and blending in. Because once I put a human groove on a clocked machine part, all of a sudden the track opens up. I can't say why, but it does. It does that.
This is like when people hear, I just want to, because we're going to be a lot of drum nerds listening to this thing, and they're going to get it. But for the layperson out there, this is for the drum nerd, like when you hear chefs talk about food. And they start talking about this great piece of aged beef that they've been, and how they're going to. And so as you describe these things, we're all salivating like, oh, yeah, man, when you open up that track and when you so, yeah, that sounds like fun. I also want to call out Rick Beato, damn it, because I really like his stuff, and I met him at NAMM last year, and, he's great, and I watch all of his stuff without fail. So he recently put a 10 greatest drum intros.
Oh, boy, yes.
And that motherfucker did not include Rock With You. And I was like, you know what? We're getting down to we're getting closer to number one. Here it comes. Oh, he's saving it. I kept thinking he's saving it. He's saving it. And then we get to number one, and I was like, wait a minute. Say what?
Yeah, it was some eighth note thing.
It was, there was all kinds of stuff on there. That was, deservedly belonged on the list. Yeah, it was all good stuff. But I was like, Rock With You's not on there. Disqualified.
And Higher Love wasn't even on there?
Higher Love wasn't on there. No. Yeah. Well, I was like, fuck this list.
Hey, the dude obviously hasn't been boning any black chicks.
That's true. And he lives in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Wow, what the fuck?
I know. Come on, Rick.
It's like going to the kitty pound.
Yeah. Come on, Rick.
Come on, Rick.
Yeah, there was no. Yeah, Squib Cakes wasn't there.
Wow.
So clearly you're exactly right.
Well, did you chime in and say what the fuck, Rick?
No, but you know what?
But
He's
you just
hear
did.
From me. I'm gonna let him know. Yes, you just did. So there.
I did. That's true.
And Rick knows we love him. And I love the hell out of what he does. And again, it's great because you're forced to discuss off of what he creates. So he's going to stick in one particular genre for a lot of these things, but we all know that he knows your work and loves it. I mean, there's no doubt about that.
Well, it's interesting. Every day I'm very active on Facebook, and I've got a couple of Facebooks. And God knows why they just can't have 1 million people on one Facebook. I've never figured that out. But, I'm a normal guy from the Midwest with still an ego. And every day, God bless Jeff Piccaro.
Yeah.
I see him every day on some ad or something. And, and his book is fantastic and everything. But I'm just thinking is this competitive? and you know, because even when he was alive, we didn't compete. You know, we were brethren on records, and you know, we'd call each other and ask questions and stuff. But it's like, you know, he's been gone for God, what, 20 years now?
Yeah.
And I see Jeff Picaro every day. I see Steve Gadd every day. And, you know, I see all my arch rivals, Steve Smith, you know, a day in the life of Steve Smith. And then, you know, he's like Mr. Perfect rudiment player. And, you know, Vinny's a smart one. You rarely see Vinny stuff. And, because he's so damn busy. And, but I don't know why. I guess my point being was, you know, we can never get away from ourselves. And I guess it's a good thing. You know?
Yeah, for the benefit of the rest of us. Another thing I want to say in front of everybody to you is that I've listened to a lot of your content, of course, on all the records, but I've also watched a lot of live stuff that you've done, a lot of like the Quincy Jones orchestra stuff. Everything that I can get a hold of, I check out. And I want to say this to our listeners, because it's something that I'm really working on right now in my own playing, is that I've yet to hear a miss. And every once in a while, when you listen to anybody, and I'm not singling out Sheila E. for any reason except that I just heard this recently. I was watching a video of her playing live, and on one of her backbeats, she was a little rim heavy and kind of missed the head a little bit. And, you know, hey, it was great. The groove was great. The song moved on. That was no big deal. But I just want to acknowledge that I've never, ever, ever heard you miss. And I'm sure you have, and you buried it somehow. And there's something that you do that makes it so that I don't hear those things. But that's really what I'm working on right now, is to make sure that throughout the course of a night, whenever we get back to playing, because we do get to rehearse right now. But, you know, of course, we're not playing out much, but we do get to rehearse. And in my rehearsal, my focus is don't ever miss. Any comment about that?
Yeah, that could create a lot of stress. Okay. Self-induced stress.
Yeah.
However, if you tie that into, man, look at that chick's ass while I'm not missing.
Wait, hold on. He's already doing that. So that part's done. He needs a higher level thing.
No wonder he's not missing.
Yeah. That helps a lot. No, but it takes the edge off.
Yeah, you know what I mean? It's like, you know, and I don't like to drink or get high when I play, but I guess it could work that way for certain drummers. You know, we're doing a Sunday afternoon gig. But, you know, there's avenues where people will ask me, well, why don't you play rim shots all the time? Well, hello, you know, you got a 14-inch or 15 snare drum with a lot of real estate. And I specifically like a deeper tuned snare and play it in the middle and pull the sound out of it. Let the engineer add the crack to it. And it creates a lot more depth in a track. Now, there are other songs and all sorts of stuff that I've done with Rimshot. And, you know, even going from Winwood to... golly, just tons of stuff. Clapton and where I would play that way also. But if you're going to stick with one way per song, stick with the one way per song and just learn it that way. That's why, interestingly enough, through the 80s and 90s, my snare drum level, when you look at it, started getting more angularly up towards me, which was really weird. And as I looked at it more, and then even getting into the 90s with the smaller Pearl snare drum with Frampton. However, with Frampton, I ended up using a 6.5. But I found myself finally lowering it. And now today's times, you know, it's not to a Steve Smith traditional Buddy Rich angle.
Yeah, or a Keith Carlock.
But, yeah, well, that's crazy.
Yeah.
But I am, now it's a bit more flat than it was because I'm still playing a match grip.
Yeah.
Most of the time. If I'm going to do a session where it's going to be a traditional session, I will bring the snare drum angled, you know, and won't play match grip.
Wow. That's something I don't think I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I've never seen footage of that.
I would love to be in a jazz quartet somewhere one day.
Yeah. Well, there's still musical territory that you wish to explore.
Like Stanley and I are putting together this thing, and God knows whenever it'll light up. We've written one song that's just a monster, and that's a whole nother big, loud direction. But I always wanted to do a trio, quartet, or a quintet again. Like my former teacher Ed Sof, who's he's still playing in Denton, Texas. Live.
In Denton, Texas.
Yep.
That's North Texas State?
Yep, North Texas.
Where he is?
Or the University of North Texas.
University of North Texas. And we should, since we brought them up, we should shout out. I grew up in Vallejo, California, hometown of Sly Stone, but he was born in Denton, Texas.
Oh, yes.
As was, who else came from Denton, Texas? Roy Orbison?
Yeah, I think so.
And I think not Glenn Fry, but Don Henley went to University of North Texas as well.
Yeah, Henley, I think, is from Fort Worth.
Okay.
And Dean Parks, Fort Worth.
Dean Parks. So Ed Sof, still around. That's great. Great to hear that.
Still around, very political. I stay away from that. and I think it's just a waste of fucking time being political. It's just it's a waste of time.
You got music to make.
Yeah, man. Listen. Get back into vinyl. I'm still a vinyl whore, and I mean that with all the greatest respect.
For vinyl and whores.
Yeah, well, I treat my records like never mind.
Yeah.
I can go to different areas in my house and I'll have a different vinyl system.
Yeah. Well, I'm happy to say that it seems last year there was more vinyl sales than CD sales, more units of vinyl sold than CDs.
Yes.
So it's nice that we're going in that direction.
It is, and that brings up the scenario of, okay, you're going to release something on vinyl. Well, the only way that makes sense is that if you've recorded it analog and mastered it in analog.
Yes.
So I have to have a talk with my engineer because it's still not going to work. 99.9% of my stuff is recorded digitally.
Mm-hmm. Using Pro Tools, you should be using that 2-inch Studer machine.
God, I had a 2-inch machine, and I'm an avid artist. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, 2-inch machine. That was my nickname in the Navy. Anyway.
Hey now.
So, I want to add, the other day we had on somebody that we've been chasing forever, and we were so happy to get her on the show, and she's just so important to rock, but in America we've kind of missed out on her. I'm curious what your thoughts are. Speaking of vinyl, how about Leather Tuscadero, Susie Quattro?
Oh my God.
Yeah. She's
what a flashback.
Yeah. She's so powerful. I mean, she's still rocking. Like we were talking, and she's like, well, let me grab my bass. And she instantly grabs it. And like her son is a musician, and he's trying to, they're working together. And he's like, you need to play up with the pick on this one, Mom. She's like, do I? And then she,
Ooh.
Yeah. No.
Mama said no.
Mama said no. Mama said no. Mama said no. Mama said no.
Yeah.
So right
and then she
TikTok.
played.
Mama said no. Mama said no. All of a sudden, Mama
Hey,
said,
see, you've got a knack for this shit.
I do. Back in the old Rufus days, Kevin Murphy, who had the voice of God, he would always talk like this. And I got to start learning how to do, radio blurbs for Rufus. And, because the other guys, one guy didn't give a shit. And the other two guys didn't read that well. So, so it was like, okay, read that script and make it come off really good. So, hey, tomorrow for the next 3 days, Rufus and Shaka Khan will be at the Live Blah, or somewhere.
Uh-huh.
So we used to do that. And I liked it.
We got to get you guys in the Hall of Fame. They got to knock that shit off and get Rufus, Shaka Khan, the whole crew in the Hall of Fame.
We've been nominated 4 times.
I know.
Yeah.
And and I hate to think it's a black-white problem. And, the people on the board are just prejudiced assholes. I don't know if that's true. It did come out of my mouth. But,
just a pondering. That's all.
When you're picking certain modern rap musicians over traditional rock and roll soul groups, it doesn't make sense.
Just what a Hall of Fame is for.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't. So
one of the problems with how they do it, and it's here's me giving them their solution to their problem, but they build it on a bill. They have a headliner, They'll have a female act. Now every year they have a rap act. And so they just kind of run out of room a lot of times, it seems like, as they oblige this package show that they put together every year.
Well, I mean, that's why groups like, my dear friends from Iron Maiden just said, I'm not going. I'm not going to go.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We don't care.
Nothing's more rock and roll than that.
That's right.
Yeah,
You're a piss stain, according to Johnny Rotten.
Oh, my God. Well, there you go. And he was right. And, but then look at our good friend Danny Serafin, who got to open up a can of whoop ass. So, I always thought that if we ever get in and, there was so many factions of Rufus, so like non-members, as we continually fight, like the musicians, we have to still fight for royalties. And there's some new greater motives that are being developed here in the States by a guy named Dennis Dreeth, who used to be president of the RMA, who's now developing you get paid from radio play. Well, the United States still doesn't have that nailed down yet, whereas Europe and all sorts of other countries do. So, if I had been getting paid from radio play, shit, man, I would have had Meekham's car storage here.
Yeah.
And enjoyed it.
Yeah.
And it's slowly developing, and the young musicians need to really think about solidarity, union, and still to this day, you cannot work a legit film without being a member of the union. So if it helps you, great. If you think, well, I can't afford the $130 a year, well, in reality, you should. And I'm not preaching left or right politics at all. All I am is just preaching the way it's always been. Union can help. It's gotten weakened and disturbed by just the natural forces of Earth. And there's so many musicians, and there's so many not really good musicians, and they're all working in some capacity. So there's somebody that's always going to undercut you. And that's what the union was for, is for eliminating that sort of process. So that's my my Papa Preach.
And even the COVID thing, right? Like if you don't have 10,000 of you bonded together, just take a gig. I don't care if I die, and it's like, no. We can still get the gigs, but let's make sure we're safe. I mean, we just had the guy who runs the San Diego Opera on. He's like, I'm working simultaneously. I'm trying to get opera out the door for everybody's benefit. And I've got 5 collective bargaining agreements that I've got to manage to make this happen. And we all want it to happen. However, we all have to hold each other accountable. That wouldn't exist without a union, or multiple unions in his case.
Yeah,
that's right. I think I know those guys. We used some of those guys. When a couple of years ago, we came down and played for some pharma thing, in a live gig. I can't remember, but no, you're absolutely correct on that. And I mean, there's like, I ended up doing this. This Elton John. What was the name of that film? With Taron.
Right. It's the one. It's the kind of spacey,
Yeah. What's the name of it?
Rocket Man.
Rocket Man.
Yeah, Rocket Man.
Yeah.
So I got a call to go to the Greek Theater, with what's his name? James Beale is his name. The composer.
Yeah.
And be the drummer for Rocket Man. And I'm going, I knew these tunes, but the book was that thick, and this was last year. So, and I went there and we just nailed it. And that guitar player, Andrew Sinowick, was on the gig. And it is rocking with the full orchestra. And then Elton comes out and blah, blah, blah. So there was a point where we were going to do 20 dates in Florida alone. And tour. And it was just so exciting.
Yeah.
So that's on hold. I just did a thing for Josh Groban. And again, people go, Josh Groban. Yeah, he's one of the great
Josh Groban
singers of all time. And he's got a new record out that is a bit of a stretch. And he sounds great. His drummer can't get over here because he's in the UK.
Wow.
So I'll sub. I got a call and made the deal, and we ended up doing, oh my God, 50 television shows, all based out of Third Encore. And I had to do 2 COVID tests. The first one was easy. The second COVID test, man, she reamed me like I was a bad boy. And that was a tough one. But, it's like that kind of thing. And you're always and there was like hazmat girls all around and like a police state. And the one girl would if you pulled your mask off, JR, and she just point. I'd put it back on. And then finally we got into filming and Josh goes, I am not wearing a mask when I'm filming. Is that okay? Whew. So we did it without masks and stuff. But that's coming out. And we're actually going to be cutting on Thanksgiving Day. We're doing a live stream. So I don't know what that is, if it's in real time or not. But look for that. There's like another 40 Josh Groban streams coming. So that's what people are doing. And we thought David was going to be doing this, but, now that...
He's got a baby on the way.
Oh, another baby and another wife. And I'm going, holy mackerel, David.
He's going to be 96 years old at a high school graduation.
I love my buddy Greg Fillinganes, and Greg Fillinganes is a year younger than me and got his beautiful wife pregnant 4 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm thinking, I love you, buddy, and you're going to be 77, man. You're walking down that high school ramp, man. 77. Yeah. I know how old I am, and I've got a 19-year-old and a half. And
that's not the same as 4.
No, it's not the same as 4. That's true. Right. You haven't even gone through the, oh my God, I spent $25 grand on Legos this year. I could have bought 2 Neve 1084s and then an Neumann 87 and
or how about?
But you get to say, hey, here's my kid. He's kind of young, but he can swing.
Yeah. Yeah.
How about you got a gig and your kid walks up, he's like, I jumped off the roof.
Listen, don't laugh. Wife 1. I had a really beautiful big house in Old Agora, big house on 2 acres, and I'm gigging a lot, like sometimes with 3 sets a day. And I get a call. She goes, and she would say to Christopher, my middle son, wait till your father gets home. Wait till your father gets home. And it wasn't the June Cleaver. Wait till your father gets home. It's wait till your father gets home. Well, he had done the same damn thing. He went up to the 3rd roof and jumped off.
See?
He goes, I'm fine, man. I go, what are you doing, dude? Oh, it was there. I had to do it.
Well, I appreciate the sense of adventure.
Oh,
man. Hey, man, I'm glad to hear that you're super busy. COVID's affected us a lot of different ways, and, it's been rough on a lot of people. I know it's been quite an adjustment, but I'll take busy with an adjustment before I'll take not busy in any form.
Yeah.
And we're rounding out our hour, but I wanted to get back to my second shout out, tossing all the way back to the intro. First shout out was to your son Jack and the Thousand Oaks High School Jazz Band. Second shout out, I'm a 49ers fan. And that was a tough Super Bowl loss, but at the end of it, I thought to myself, man, my Niners got their asses handed to them. But I'll tell you what, good for JR.
Keep talking.
He's pulling something up. But that was my immediate thought.
Look at that.
Yes.
That's awesome.
Yeah. I thought, man, for a guy who's been a diehard Chiefs fan for as long as you have, good for the Chiefs and good for you.
God, I mean, when I was a little teeny kid in Southwest Iowa, it's like between Des Moines, Omaha, and Kansas City. And, what did we have? Kurt Gowdy and fishing.
Yeah.
And then they started to put the NFL on, so it'd always be the Packers or the Vikings where I was. Maybe the Bears, because Chicago was 8 hours away. Rarely did you get the Lions. And so then they started putting Kansas City on, the AFL, and I started watching like 62, with Lenny and young Hank, and Lenny smoking on the sidelines, and and it was just a rowdy group. It was like Paul Crew, and little did I know that these guys were kicking ass in the AFL, and then it was this whole growth thing of Lamar Hunt figuring out how to combine both leagues, which happened in '67. So I've been a fan, since I was 6 or 7 years old,
Wow.
and just watched the growth of the, the Hunt family, and how it's been kind of us against New England for years, and now it's us, but it's just a beautiful thing. And the 49ers, unfortunately, had some key injuries this year.
Yeah.
And but you guys are coming back. You got a complete football team. So
Yeah.
Well, the next time
I'm Patrick Mahomes, though.
Yeah, Patrick Mahomes pretty good. The next time I'm with Pete Koch, I'll have him throw on his Chiefs jersey and send you a video.
Yes.
I will.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually, I'll be talking to him on Monday on the show. We're doing a show with a TV writer, so I'll bug him about it. He'll do it. He's great for that stuff.
Well, make sure I get a copy of this so I can paste it or have Malcolm do it everywhere.
Yeah, I'll have him specific. Yeah. I'll get it over to you. That's not a problem. Yeah.
Hey, one more plug. So I scored last year with the help of Tom Scott and Nathan East a movie called The Bronx, USA. And out of that movie, which was my first movie I had ever scored, I had written 2 songs. And in addition to the scoring, one song was with Maya Azuzina called Gonna Be All Right. And that is up for a Grammy.
Oh, okay.
Best video.
All right.
Best video. And then the other one is just too old. It's called Living the Dream. And myself and this gentleman wrote a doo-wop song. And I go, who writes doo-wop songs? Nobody. So, but it fit this one scene with George Shapiro. So anyway, if you guys are voters, look for the Bronx, USA. And I've got a couple of categories in there. So it would be really good to kind of get that going.
And Maya Azuzina. I just wanted to say that. Who's just a beautiful chick from Brooklyn who lives in Istanbul.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she's got another song that's we've co-written that may go on my record called, what's it called? It's like a stomp. It's just a beautiful thing.
Yeah. All right. Well, when does that come out?
Geez, I don't know. I've got a meeting next week with the Swiss about staying actually away from the United States, maybe coming in from a different angle. I have to finish the record. So, there's that Dave Garfield concept where you just release a single at a time, and that very well may be it. I've written a second song. I put up a little small video of one called Liquid Office with just a little thing of my records that come in and out. It wasn't really done well, but I'm actually thinking of this other song called Dreamin', and then just another kind of a fun thing. I've got some easy stuff, and I've got some really raucous Zappa meets. It's just hard to describe what it is. And does it all blend? I don't think so. But it's art,
Yeah, it's fun.
Once you say it's Zappa, like we all know, like okay, you have to listen to it and experience it, and probably do that more than once to get it. Because I'm still getting parts of Zappa that
maybe open your mind in different ways. Listen to it again.
Well, for example, I wrote a song called "Washing Machine."
Oh boy,
exactly.
Yeah,
it started about. I've been in this house 8 years, and maybe 6 years ago I had a load in. And it was in its spin cycle, and it's over 200 BPM. And I listen to it, and I go, shit. So I go find a Zoom mic real quick and record it. And then go in and put it in Pro Tools and find loop points. And then wrote a song around it, which I'm singing with a very distorted Darth Vader plug-in.
Of course.
And it's about my washing machine. And that's all it is. And it's art. That's all I can tell you.
I like it.
Yeah. Well, keep making art. Our guest today, everybody, has been the greatest, J.R. Robinson. And so, again, go to his YouTube channel, johnjrrobinson.com. Subscribe there. Subscribe everywhere. Find him on TikTok. And thanks again, man. Hey, I appreciate that every time you come on the show, you curse a little more each episode.
Well, I'm sure I was related to some fucking sailor somewhere, so...
the first appearance on the Break It Down show, no reference to whores.
Oh, but I did equate it with vinyl music.
Oh, that's true.
Okay.
Yeah. So it has context.
It has context. I don't think it's at all insulting.
No, not at all. Hey, man.
Hey, John, thank you. Pete, thank you so much. Let me know, is this airing as we speak?
And then it'll air again, and I'll update you.
Update me, then I can throw it to Malcolm, and we can put it in the correct